Get out. 2 words. That's all he said. Clara stood in the doorway of their bedroom, 7 months pregnant, wearing his college sweatshirt, the same sweatshirt she had worn on their first date 12 years ago. Marcus wouldn't look at her. Behind him, her suitcase sat on the bed, already packed. "You know what you did," he said. His voice was cold, dead, like a stranger wearing her husband's face. But here's the thing. Clara didn't do anything. The messages he saw, fabricated. The photos, fake. The DNA test proving the baby wasn't his, completely manufactured. Someone had spent months destroying her life. Someone who wanted her husband for herself. Someone who was willing to throw a pregnant woman out into the freezing February night to get what she wanted. And Marcus? The man who had cried tears of joy when he learned they were having a son? He believed every single lie without asking his wife a single question. What he didn't know would haunt him forever. The baby Clara was carrying, the child he threw away like garbage, it was his son, the heir he had always dreamed of, the legacy he had destroyed with his own hands. This is the story of a woman who lost everything in one night, and how she rose from the ashes to build something even better. Stay with me until the end, because the moment the truth comes out, you won't believe what happens next. Lesson and value statement. This story carries a powerful message for every woman who has ever felt discarded, betrayed, or underestimated. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives become the doorways to our greatest transformations. Clara's journey teaches us that real strength isn't about holding broken things together. It's about having the courage to let them fall apart when they need to. It's about choosing yourself when everyone else has abandoned you. It's about building a new life from the ruins of the old one. Remember this truth. Your value doesn't come from someone else's love. It doesn't come from a family's approval. It doesn't come from being a good enough version of yourself for other people. Your value comes from within, from your resilience, your courage, your refusal to be defined by someone else's lies. If this story touched your heart, if Clara's journey inspired you, I have a small request. Hit that like button. It helps more women find stories that remind them of their own strength. Leave a comment below. Share your thoughts. Tell me which moment hit you the hardest. I read every single comment, and your words mean more than you know. If you haven't subscribed yet, join our community. We share stories every week about women who faced impossible odds and came out stronger on the other side. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message today, share this video with them. Sometimes a story is exactly what someone needs to find their own courage. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for being part of this journey. Until next time, remember, you are stronger than you think. You are braver than you believe, and you deserve a love that doesn't come with conditions. The grandfather clock struck midnight. Clara Bennett stood in the doorway of their bedroom. Her hand rested on her swollen belly. 7 months pregnant, 32 years old, wearing her husband's faded college sweatshirt. Marcus wouldn't look at her. His jaw was set like granite, his eyes fixed on some point beyond her shoulder. Behind him, her suitcase sat on their bed, already packed. Get out. 2 words. That's all he said. 2 words that shattered 17 years of knowing him, 3 years of marriage, 7 months of carrying his child. Marcus, her voice trembled. Please, just tell me what's happening. You know exactly what's happening. His voice was flat, dead, like a stranger wearing her husband's face. I saw the messages. The cedar closet smell filled her nose. The tick of the grandfather clock downstairs counted seconds like a heartbeat. The diamond ring on her finger felt suddenly cold, heavy. What messages? Clara stepped forward. I don't understand. Marcus finally looked at her. The contempt in his eyes made her stomach lurch. The baby kicked. hard, as if he knew something was terribly wrong. From Teddy. Marcus spat the name. Your coworker. The one you've been screwing behind my back. Clara's hand flew to her mouth. What? Marcus, that's insane. Teddy is just a colleague. We worked on the Henderson account together. Nothing more. Stop lying. He reached into his pocket and pulled out her phone. When had he taken it? I saw everything, Clara. The texts, the photos, everything. She reached for the phone. He pulled it back. I never sent any texts to Teddy. Clara's voice rose. Panic clawed at her throat. Whatever you saw, I didn't write it. I swear on our baby's life. Don't. Marcus's voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare use that child as a shield for your lies. He turned the phone screen toward her. Clara read the messages, her name at the top, Teddy's name below, words she had never typed, explicit words, promises, plans to meet, photos she had never taken. The room tilted. This isn't happening. This is a nightmare. I'll wake up. She didn't wake up. Marcus, listen to me. She forced her voice steady. I did not send these messages. Someone is lying to you. Someone is trying to destroy us. Who? He laughed bitterly. Who would do that, Clara? Who would go to this much trouble? I don't know. Tears streamed down her face. But I know I didn't do this. You have to believe me. My mother warned me. Marcus shook his head slowly. Vivian warned me. They both said you weren't right for this family. I should have listened. Vivian, the name hit Clara like ice water. Vivian Bennett, Marcus's sister-in-law, the widow of his older brother, the woman who had watched Clara with cold eyes at every family dinner, who had whispered with Eleanor in corners, who had smiled sweetly while delivering poison disguised as concern. Vivian showed you these messages? Clara asked carefully. She found them. Marcus turned away. She was trying to protect me, to protect this family, unlike you. Clara grabbed his arm. Marcus, please, think about this. Vivian has never liked me. She's been trying to push me out since our wedding day. He shrugged off her grip. She was right to try. 20 minutes later, Clara stood on the front porch. February cold seeped through her thin sweatshirt. Her suitcase sat beside her on the frozen concrete. The door was locked behind her. The deadbolt had clicked with terrible finality. Through the window, she watched the bedroom light turn off. He's going to sleep. While I stand outside with his son in my belly, the baby moved, a slow roll across her ribs, as if asking what was happening, why everything had changed. Clara touched her stomach. I don't know, sweetheart. I don't know. She looked up at the dark house, the house where she had planned to raise her children, the house where she had imagined growing old with Marcus, the house that was no longer hers. I didn't do this. I know I didn't do this. But knowing and proving were different things. Her phone buzzed in her coat pocket, the one Marcus had thrown at her as he pushed her out the door. A text from an unknown number. Finally, you're exactly where you belong, nowhere. Clara stared at the screen. The words blurred through her tears. Vivian. It had to be Vivian. But why? What had Clara ever done to deserve this? She stumbled down the porch steps. Her old Honda sat in the driveway, the one Marcus had begged her to sell, the one she had kept because her father had helped her buy it 3 years before he died. Thank God she had kept it. The engine sputtered in the cold. Finally caught. The heater blew frigid air that would take 20 minutes to warm. Clara pulled out of the driveway. In the rearview mirror, the Bennett mansion grew smaller, darker, until it disappeared entirely. She had nowhere to go. Her mother had passed 3 years ago. Her father 5 years before that. No siblings, no family left, except the baby. The baby was family. Clara drove toward the only person she could trust, her best friend, since college. The woman who had held her hand through her parents' funerals, who had stood beside her at her wedding, who had never once believed the Bennett family was good enough for Clara. Rosemary Walsh. The clock on the dashboard read 1:15 in the morning. Clara didn't care. Some emergencies didn't wait for convenient hours. She pulled into Rosemary's apartment complex, parked crookedly across two spaces, walked to the door on legs that felt like they belonged to someone else. She knocked. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The door opened. Rosemary stood there in flannel pajamas and messy hair. Her eyes went wide. Clara? What the hell? He threw me out. Clara's voice broke. Marcus threw me out. Rosemary didn't ask questions. She pulled Clara inside, wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, made tea, found extra pillows for the couch. Only when Clara stopped shaking did Rosemary sit down beside her. Tell me everything. Clara told her, the messages, the accusations, Marcus's cold eyes, the locked door, the text from the unknown number. Rosemary listened without interrupting. Her face grew harder with every word. When Clara finished, Rosemary held out her hand. Show me the messages. Clara handed over the phone. Rosemary scrolled through the conversation. Her eyes narrowed. Clara, these weren't sent from your phone. What do you mean? Rosemary worked in tech security, had for 15 years. She knew things about phones and data that Clara couldn't begin to understand. The timestamps are wrong. Rosemary zoomed in on the screen. The metadata doesn't match your carrier. Someone cloned your number, created a fake conversation thread, then showed it to Marcus. Clara's heart pounded. You're sure? Positive. Rosemary looked up. Someone with technical knowledge, or money to hire someone with technical knowledge, someone who had access to your personal information and Teddy's contact details. Clara's hands moved to her belly. The baby kicked again, strong. Vivian, she whispered. The sister-in-law? Rosemary's eyes flashed. The one who looks at Marcus like he's a steak dinner? You notice that too? Honey, everyone notices, except Marcus. Rosemary set down the phone. Tell me about Vivian. Clara closed her eyes, memories flooded back. 3 years of small cruelties, whispered comments, sympathetic smiles that never reached her eyes. She married Marcus's older brother, Daniel, 8 years ago. Clara spoke slowly. Daniel died in a car accident 3 years ago. Single car, icy road, no witnesses. Convenient, Rosemary muttered. After that, Vivian stayed close to the family, very close. She lives in the guest house on the Bennett property. She's at every dinner, every holiday, every family meeting. And she wants Marcus. It wasn't a question. Clara nodded. I think she's always wanted him, even when Daniel was alive. Rosemary stood up, paced the small living room. So you announce you're pregnant with a son, the heir the Bennett family has been waiting for, and suddenly Vivian's window of opportunity starts closing. The baby would cement my place in the family, Clara said quietly. Forever. Exactly. Rosemary turned back. She couldn't let that happen. So she destroys your marriage, gets you thrown out, and positions herself as the shoulder Marcus cries on. Clara felt sick. She's been planning this for months. At least. Rosemary picked up her laptop. I'm going to dig deeper, find the actual evidence, because, honey, we're going to nail that bitch to the wall. Clara sat in Rosemary's bathroom at 2 in the morning, fully clothed, the shower running for white noise. She counted the tiles on the floor, blue, white, blue, white. The baby moved, a gentle flutter this time, reassuring. I married the man I loved. That wasn't a crime. Loving him wasn't a crime. But loving him wasn't enough, either. Marcus had looked at her with such hatred, such disgust. like she was nothing, like 3 years of marriage meant nothing. He didn't even ask me for my side of the story. He just believed Vivian, believed his mother, believed everyone except his wife. Clara placed both hands on her belly. "I won't let them hurt you," she whispered. "Whatever happens, I'll protect you. I promise." The baby kicked once, hard. A promise sealed. Morning light crept through Rosemary's curtains. Clara hadn't slept. She had dozed fitfully on the couch, jerking awake every hour with the same nightmare: Marcus's cold eyes, the locked door, the freezing February air. Rosemary emerged from her bedroom at 7, still in pajamas, dark circles under her eyes. "I found something." Clara sat up too fast. The baby protested with a sharp kick. Rosemary sat down with her laptop. "Vivian purchased a burner phone 3 months ago. Paid cash, but I traced the store's security footage through a friend in loss prevention." 3 months ago? Clara did the math. "That's right after we announced the pregnancy." "Exactly." Rosemary turned the laptop screen toward Clara. She also made a payment to a company that specializes in phone cloning technology, technically legal for legitimate purposes, but the timing is suspicious as hell. Clara stared at the records, bank statements, purchase receipts, a digital trail of betrayal. "There's more." Rosemary's voice hardened. "She hired a graphic designer 6 weeks ago, paid through a shell company, but I traced it back. He specializes in photo manipulation. The photos Marcus showed me." Clara felt bile rise in her throat. "They were fake. All of it was fake." Rosemary closed the laptop. "The messages, the photos, the entire affair, fabricated from start to finish." Clara thought about Teddy Grant, her coworker of 4 years, quiet, awkward, professional, a man who had never once looked at her inappropriately. "Teddy must be so confused," she said. "Does he even know what's happening? Probably not." Rosemary stood. "We should warn him. Marcus might come after him too." Clara nodded, then stopped. "Wait. Rosemary, if you could find all this evidence in one night, why couldn't Marcus?" Rosemary's expression darkened. "Because he didn't want to look. He wanted to believe it." The words hit Clara like a physical blow. He wanted to believe it. Why? They had been happy. At least Clara thought they had been happy. The nursery was painted soft blue. The name picked out: Walter Marcus Bennett II, after his father, who had died 10 years ago. Marcus had cried when they learned the baby was a boy. Actually cried. She had never seen him so open, so joyful. What changed? Rosemary seemed to read her thoughts. "Some men get scared, Clara. The responsibility, the permanence. A baby means everything is real, forever." So he ran at the first excuse. He ran at the excuse Vivian handed him. Rosemary squeezed her hand. "That's not your fault. That's his weakness." Clara's phone rang. An unknown number. Different from last night, she answered cautiously. "Hello? Mrs. Bennett?" A woman's voice. Professional. Concerned. "This is Dr. Holloway's office. We have your test results from your last appointment." Clara's blood went cold. "What results?" "Your blood pressure was dangerously elevated. Doctor, Holloway would like you to come in today for additional monitoring. Given your pregnancy, she's concerned about preeclampsia." The baby kicked, hard. "I'll be there within the hour." Clara hung up. Her hands trembled. "What is it?" Rosemary asked. "My blood pressure. The stress." Clara touched her belly. The baby might be in danger. The hospital was too bright, too cold, too sterile. Clara lay on the examination table, in a paper gown. The ultrasound gel was cold on her skin. The baby's heartbeat filled the room, steady, strong, alive. The baby is perfectly healthy. Dr. Holloway smiled reassuringly. Strong heartbeat, good movement, no signs of distress. Clara let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding. However, the doctor's smile faded. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. What's happening at home, Clara? Clara laughed. It came out broken, sharp. I don't have a home anymore. Dr. Holloway sat down on the rolling stool. She had been Clara's doctor for 4 years, had guided her through fertility concerns, celebrated with her when she finally got pregnant. Talk to me, the doctor said gently. Clara told her everything, the false accusations, the midnight exile, the fabricated messages. Dr. Holloway's face went through stages: shock, anger, professional calm. You need to document everything, she said when Clara finished. Medically, I can testify that your stress levels spiked suddenly, that there was no indication of any inappropriate behavior, that you were a devoted wife looking forward to motherhood. Would that help? In court? It might. Dr. Holloway leaned forward. Clara, I've seen cases like this. Not often, but enough. Women discarded by wealthy families when they become inconvenient. I'm not trying to take his money. I know. The doctor patted her hand. But you need to protect yourself. And that baby. Because the Bennett family will do whatever it takes to control this situation. Clara thought about Eleanor Bennett, her mother-in-law, the woman who had looked at Clara like a stain on fine linen from the very first meeting. She never wanted me in the family, Clara said quietly. Eleanor, she thought Marcus could do better. Better meaning richer? Better meaning more controllable. Clara remembered Eleanor's cutting remarks, her backhanded compliments, her constant reminders of Clara's modest background. You're stronger than they think, Dr. Holloway said. Remember that? Rosemary was waiting in the hospital lobby, her laptop bag over her shoulder, her expression grim. Vivian's late husband. Rosemary fell into step beside Clara. Marcus's brother, Daniel. He died 3 years ago. I know. What you don't know is that he changed his will 2 weeks before the accident. Rosemary lowered her voice. He was leaving Vivian. Everything was going to Marcus. Clara stopped walking. What? I found the original will. The one filed before the change. Vivian got everything. The life insurance, the trust fund, the property. But Daniel found out something. Changed lawyers. Started new documents. And then he died. Single car accident. Icy road. No witnesses. Rosemary's jaw tightened. Sound familiar? Clara's blood ran cold. No, that's too far. Even Vivian wouldn't. But looking at Rosemary's face, she wasn't sure anymore. We don't know anything for certain, Clara said carefully. We know she's capable of destroying lives to get what she wants. Rosemary guided her toward the exit. We know she's been planning your downfall for months. We know she has no boundaries when it comes to Marcus. You think she killed Daniel? I think we should be very, very careful. Rosemary opened the door to the parking lot. And I think you need a lawyer, a good one, someone who's not afraid of the Bennett family. Clara squinted in the bright sunlight. Do you know someone? As a matter of fact, Rosemary smiled grimly. I do. That night, Clara lay in Rosemary's guest room. The bed was comfortable, the sheets clean, the room quiet. She couldn't sleep. Her mind kept replaying the past 3 years, every moment with Marcus, every dinner with his family, every interaction with Vivian. She remembered their wedding day, Marcus's vows. I promise to trust you, to believe in you, to stand beside you when the world stands against you. Pretty words, easy to say in candlelight with champagne. But when the world stood against her, he wasn't beside her. He was the one pushing her into the darkness. Clara placed her hand on her belly. The baby was quiet now, sleeping, maybe. He wanted this baby so much. He cried when he found out it was a boy. How could he throw us away so easily? She knew the answer. Vivian's manipulation, Eleanor's influence, his own weakness. But knowing didn't make it hurt less. Clara turned on her side, stared at the wall. I was so stupid. The signs were all there. Vivian's possessiveness, Eleanor's coldness, Marcus's gradual withdrawal. I saw it all. I just didn't want to believe it. The baby shifted, a small movement, a reminder that she wasn't alone. I won't make that mistake again. I'll see everything clearly now, and I'll fight for both of us. She finally slept, fitfully. But she slept. 3 days passed. Clara moved through them like a ghost, eating because Rosemary insisted, sleeping in fragments, feeling the baby move and wondering what kind of world she was bringing him into. On the 4th morning, Rosemary sat her down at the kitchen table. I found the smoking gun. Clara looked up from her untouched toast. What? Rosemary opened her laptop. Vivian made one mistake. Just one, but it's enough. The screen showed a credit card statement. Vivian's personal card. A single charge, highlighted in yellow. She used her own card to buy the burner phone. Rosemary pointed at the screen. Once, just once, she paid cash for everything else, but this one time she slipped up. Clara stared at the evidence. $47.32, a convenience store in the next town over, a timestamp from 3 months ago. Can we prove it was for the burner phone? I cross-referenced the store's inventory records. Rosemary pulled up another document. Only one prepaid phone was sold that day, same time as Vivian's credit card charge. Clara's hands began to shake. She really did this. She really destroyed my marriage over a man. She destroyed your marriage to steal your husband. Rosemary closed the laptop. There's a difference. Clara thought about the announcement dinner, 3 months ago, the night they told the family about the baby. She remembered Eleanor's cold smile, the perfunctory congratulations, the whispered conversation between Eleanor and Vivian in the corner. But mostly, she remembered Vivian's face. Marcus wants a son, Vivian had said, hugging her. The family needs an heir. This changes everything. At the time, Claire had thought it was joy. Now she knew it was calculation. The baby would cement Clara's place in the family forever. The Bennett heir, the next generation, something Vivian could never provide. So Vivian had decided to remove Clara instead. Clara remembered Vivian's hug that night, too tight, too long, her perfume, lavender, suffocating. The way she had looked at Marcus across the table, hungry, waiting. She's been in love with him for years, Clara said quietly. Maybe since before Daniel died. Probably. Rosemary stood up. Which brings us to the next step. You're meeting with a lawyer today, Harrison Cole. He specializes in cases involving wealthy families and complicated divorces. I can't afford a fancy lawyer. He owes me a favor, and the sabab it. Rosemary smiled. A big one. Don't worry about the cost. Harrison Cole's office was intimidating. Old books lined the walls. Expensive leather chairs faced the mahogany desk. The carpet was thick enough to muffle footsteps. But Harrison Cole himself was surprisingly warm. He was in his mid-40s, silver temples, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He stood when Clara entered and shook her hand gently. Mrs. Bennett, please, sit down. Rosemary has told me the basics, but I want to hear everything from you. Clara sat, took a breath, and told her story from the beginning. Harrison listened without interrupting. He took notes in a leather-bound journal. His expression remained neutral, but his eyes hardened when Clara described being thrown out in the middle of the night. When she finished, he set down his pen. Let me be direct with you, he said. Your husband is already filing for divorce. He's claiming adultery, and he wants full custody of the child once it's born. Clara's hands flew to her belly. He can't do that. The baby is his. The whole thing is based on lies. He can try. Harrison leaned forward. The Bennett family has resources, connections, political influence, but they also have secrets. And secrets are leverage. What do you mean? I've dealt with Eleanor Bennett before, 6 years ago, a different case. Harrison's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She protects the family image, above all else. If we can prove Vivian fabricated evidence, if we can show Marcus was manipulated, we can use that. Use it how? To negotiate, to threaten exposure if they don't back down. Harrison paused. Or to go to war, if that's what you prefer. Clara thought about Marcus, the man she had loved since college, the man who had held her when her mother died, the man who had cried tears of joy over their baby, the man who had thrown her out without asking a single question. He should have trusted me, she said quietly. He didn't even ask me for my side of the story, he just believed her. Harrison nodded slowly. That's the part you won't be able to forgive, even if you win everything else, even if he apologizes. That betrayal of trust will always be there. Clara knew he was right. Something had broken inside her that night on the porch. Something that couldn't be fixed with apologies or explanations. Marcus had looked at her like she was nothing, like their marriage was nothing, like their baby was nothing. She would never forget that look as long as she lived. What do you need from me? She asked. Everything. Harrison pulled out a folder. Bank records, phone records, emails, photographs, any documentation of Vivian's behavior over the past 3 years, any witnesses who can corroborate the timeline. Rosemary has been gathering evidence. Good. I'll need all of it. Harrison handed her a business card. And I'll need you to be strong, Mrs. Bennett. This is going to get ugly before it gets better. Clara took the card. I'm pregnant. I'm homeless. My husband threw me out in the middle of winter based on lies. I've already seen ugly. Harrison smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Not like this. The Bennetts fight dirty. They'll try to destroy your reputation, your credibility, your mental health records if they can get them. I don't have mental health records. They'll try to create some. Harrison stood. But I've beaten Eleanor Bennett before. I can do it again, especially with evidence this solid. Clara stood too, extended her hand. Thank you, Mr. Cole. Call me Harrison. He shook her hand firmly. And don't thank me yet. Thank me when your son is born healthy and his future is secure. That afternoon, Clara sat in Rosemary's living room. The evidence was spread across the coffee table. Credit card statements, phone records, photographs from security cameras, a timeline of Vivian's activities over the past 3 months. It was damning, comprehensive, irrefutable. But Clara couldn't stop thinking about Marcus. She had loved him since she was 20 years old, met him at a mutual friend's birthday party, been drawn to his quiet confidence, his unexpected humor, the way he looked at her, like she was the only person in the room. Their first date had been coffee at a tiny cafe near the university. He had ordered black coffee, and she had ordered something complicated with too much foam. He had teased her about it. She had thrown a napkin at him. She had known, even then, this was the one. 12 years later, he had thrown her out like garbage. Clara picked up a photograph. Their wedding day, Marcus in a dark suit, her in a simple, white dress, both of them smiling like they had won the lottery. I was so happy. We were so happy. What happened to us? She knew the answer. Vivian happened. Eleanor happened. But it was more than that. Marcus had changed over the past year, become more distant, more easily irritated, more likely to side with his mother in disagreements. Clara had attributed it to stress, work pressure, family expectations. She had told herself it would get better once the baby came, but now she wondered, had Vivian been whispering in his ear for longer than 3 months? Had she been laying groundwork for years? The baby kicked, a reminder that she wasn't alone in this. She set down the photograph, faced forward. The past was gone. The happy memories were tainted now. All she could do was fight for the future, her son's future. She finally understood. She had been disappearing long before that night on the porch, making herself smaller, quieter, more agreeable, fitting into the space the Bennett family allowed her. That stopped now. I won't teach you to shrink, she thought, hands on her belly. I promise. I'll teach you to take up space, to speak your truth, to trust yourself even when others don't. She closed her eyes, made a silent vow. Whatever it takes, I'll fight for both of us. A week passed. Claire had settled into a routine at Rosemary's apartment. Morning tea, doctor's appointments, meetings with Harrison, evenings reviewing evidence and planning strategy. She was 32 weeks pregnant now. The baby was growing stronger every day, kicking harder, taking up more space. She wished she could say the same for herself. The stress was taking its toll, dark circles under her eyes, weight she couldn't afford to lose, a constant tremor in her hands that she couldn't quite control. Dr. Holloway had prescribed bed rest. Clara had ignored her. There was too much to do. Harrison called on a Tuesday afternoon. I have news. His voice was carefully neutral. James Whitmore finished his investigation. Vivian's digital trail is complete. What did he find? She's been positioning herself as Marcus's support system. Lunches at his office, coffee meetings, late-night phone calls. Harrison paused. Your husband doesn't know it, but she's been grooming him for months, making herself indispensable. Clara felt sick. She's comforting him through the divorce she created. That appears to be the plan. Harrison's voice hardened. There's more. Whitmore found records of payments to a medical lab 6 weeks ago. Vivian paid for a DNA test. A DNA test? The results were fabricated. Harrison spoke slowly, as if the words tasted bad. She created fake DNA evidence showing the baby isn't Marcus's biological child. The room tilted. Clara grabbed the edge of the couch. That's why he was so certain. Her voice was barely a whisper. He didn't just see messages. He saw DNA proof. Fabricated DNA proof. Harrison's voice was grim. She covered every angle, Clara. Messages, photos, scientific evidence. She built an airtight case against you. But it's all lies. We know that. Now we need to prove it. Harrison paused. I'm ordering an official DNA test through the court. Supervised, certified, impossible to fake. Clara touched her belly. The baby kicked, strong and sure. When? As soon as possible. The preliminary results will take a week. Full certification takes 2. Harrison's voice softened. This is good news, Clara. Once we have legitimate DNA proof, Vivian's entire case falls apart. Clara nodded, then remembered he couldn't see her. Okay, whatever it takes. One more thing. Harrison hesitated. Marcus has been trying to contact you. Through his lawyer. He wants to meet. No. The word came out harder than she intended, but she didn't take it back. That's your right. Harrison sounded approving. I'll communicate through his legal team. You don't have to see him unless you choose to. Clara hung up, sat in silence. He wanted to meet. Why? To apologize? To explain? To try to talk her out of fighting back? It didn't matter. She had nothing to say to him. The man who had thrown her out in the middle of the night, based on lies, didn't deserve her time, her energy, her tears. He had made his choice. Now she was making hers. That evening, Rosemary came home with Chinese food and determination. I found something else. She spread containers across the coffee table. About Vivian's husband, Daniel. Clara reached for a spring roll. What about him? He wasn't just planning to leave Vivian. Rosemary sat down with her laptop. He was planning to expose her. Expose her for what? Rosemary turned the screen toward Clara. An email, dated 2 weeks before Daniel Bennett's death. Clara read it slowly. Her blood ran cold. Daniel had discovered Vivian's affair, not with Marcus, with someone else, a business associate. For years. She was cheating on Daniel? Clara looked up. The whole time? The whole time. Rosemary nodded grimly. Daniel found out, confronted her. She denied it. He hired a private investigator, got proof. And then he died. Single car accident, icy road, no witnesses. Rosemary's jaw tightened. 2 weeks after he threatened to expose her to the family, 2 weeks after he changed his will. Clara set down the spring roll. Her appetite was gone. You think she killed him. I think it's possible. Rosemary closed the laptop. I also think we can't prove it. Not yet. But we can use it. Use it how? Leverage. Rosemary leaned forward. Vivian thinks she's untouchable. She thinks her secrets are buried. If she finds out we know about Daniel, about the affair, about the timing of his death, she might back off. Clara shook her head. Or she might come after us harder. That's the risk. Rosemary's eyes were sharp. But right now, she thinks she's winning. She thinks you're defeated. If she realizes how much we know, it might rattle her enough to make a mistake. Clara thought about Vivian, her perfect makeup, her expensive clothes, her syrupy sweet voice that barely concealed the venom underneath. She wasn't someone who rattled easily, but everyone had a breaking point. Let's wait, Claire decided. Until we have the DNA results, until our case is solid. Then we use everything. Rosemary nodded slowly. Smart, don't show your cards until you're ready to play them all. Clara touched her belly. The baby was quiet now, resting. This isn't about winning anymore. Her voice was soft. It's about protecting my son, his future, his inheritance, his right to know who his father is. And punishing Vivian? Clara smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. That's just a bonus. Late that night, Clara couldn't sleep. She walked through Rosemary's apartment in the darkness. The baby was awake too, moving restlessly. She stopped at the window, looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Marcus was sleeping, in their bed, in their house, with Vivian probably waiting nearby, ready to comfort him through his manufactured grief. Clara remembered all the appointments he had missed during her pregnancy, the excuses, the phone calls that lasted for hours. He was already pulling away. Vivian was in his ear for months. Poison dripped slowly. So slowly he didn't even notice. But Clara should have noticed. She should have seen the signs, the way he flinched when she touched him, the way his eyes slid away when she talked about the future, the way he stopped saying, I love you, unless she said it first. I was too busy being pregnant, too busy being happy. I didn't see what was happening right in front of me. The baby kicked. Hard. I know, Clara whispered. I'm sorry. I should have been paying attention. But regret was useless now. The past couldn't be changed. Only the future could be shaped. And Clara was going to shape it into something Vivian never expected. A life without Marcus. A life without the Bennett family. A life built on her own terms. She touched the window glass, cold against her fingertips. I'm not crazy. Something is very wrong here, and I'm going to prove it, no matter what it takes. The DNA test was scheduled for the following Monday. Claire arrived at the certified lab at 9 in the morning. Harrison was already there. So was Marcus's lawyer, a thin man with cold eyes named Patterson. Marcus wasn't there. Small mercy. The procedure was simple. A blood draw from Clara, cheek swabs for the baby that would be analyzed against Marcus's submitted sample. It took 15 minutes. Results in 7 days, the technician said. Full certification in 14. You'll receive them simultaneously with opposing counsel. Clara nodded, walked out without looking at Patterson. Harrison caught up with her in the parking lot. You did well. He opened her car door. This is the beginning of the end for Vivian's case. It doesn't feel like an ending. Clara slid into the driver's seat. It feels like a beginning. Good. Harrison leaned on the doorframe. Because we have a long fight ahead. Once the DNA proves the baby is Marcus's, Vivian's fraud becomes criminally prosecutable. I'm already preparing charges. Clara thought about Vivian in handcuffs. Vivian in a courtroom. Vivian finally facing consequences for her actions. It should have felt satisfying. Instead, she just felt tired. What about Marcus? She asked. What about him? Will he face any consequences? For throwing me out? For believing her? Harrison's expression was carefully neutral. Being a gullible idiot isn't a crime, Clara. Being a bad husband isn't either. So he gets away with everything. He loses his wife, his son's trust, his self-respect. Harrison shrugged. Some might call that punishment enough? Clara wasn't sure she agreed. The week passed slowly. Clara spent most of it reviewing documents with Harrison, building the case piece by piece, depositions, witness statements, financial records. Every new piece of evidence made Vivian's guilt more obvious, and Marcus's blindness more inexcusable. He had believed everything Vivian showed him. Without question, without verification, without even a moment's doubt, because he wanted to. Clara kept coming back to that realization. The hardest truth. Somewhere deep down, Marcus had wanted an excuse to run. The pregnancy scared him, the responsibility, the permanence. So when Vivian handed him a reason to leave, he grabbed it with both hands. Clara had thought their marriage was strong. She had thought their love was real, but love built on weakness crumbled at the first test. On Thursday afternoon, Rosemary burst through the door. Teddy called. She was breathless, excited. He found something. Teddy Grant, Clara's coworker, the man falsely accused of having an affair with her. What did he find? Rosemary pulled out her phone. A voicemail. From Vivian. She called him 6 months ago asking about you. Pretending to be a client interested in the Henderson account. Clara's heart pounded. She was gathering information. She was gathering ammunition. Rosemary played the voicemail. Vivian's voice filled the room. Sweet, professional, fake. Hi, Mr. Grant. This is Victoria Marsh from Cornerstone Industries. I was referred to your firm by a colleague. I understand you work closely with Clara Bennett on major accounts. I'd love to hear more about your process. Oh. The message continued. Questions about Clara, her schedule, her habits, her relationship with coworkers. She was stalking me, Clara whispered. For months before she made her move, she was building a profile. Rosemary saved the voicemail, learning everything she needed to create a convincing fake affair. Clara thought about all those lunches where Teddy had been unusually attentive, the extra meetings he had scheduled, the questions about her personal life that had seemed friendly at the time. Vivian had been prompting him, using him, setting up the framework for her lies. Teddy didn't know, Clara said. He thought he was talking to a real client. He's devastated. Rosemary sat down. He wanted to help. That's why he called. Clara felt a surge of gratitude for Teddy, for his innocence, his decency, his willingness to stand up even after being used. Can he testify? Harrison's already contacted him. Rosemary smiled grimly. Turns out Teddy's father is a judge. He's very motivated to clear his son's name. Clara laughed. It came out slightly hysterical. Vivian chose the wrong target. She made a lot of mistakes. Rosemary squeezed her hand, and she's about to pay for all of them. That night, Clara allowed herself to hope. The evidence was overwhelming. The DNA test would confirm the truth. Vivian's web of lies was unraveling thread by thread. But hope felt dangerous, fragile, like holding a soap bubble in her palm. She sat in Rosemary's living room, hands on her belly. The baby was active tonight, rolling and kicking like he was doing acrobatics. "You're going to be okay," Clara told him. "We're both going to be okay." Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Clara's blood ran cold. The last message from an unknown number had been Vivian's taunt on the night she was thrown out. She opened the message. "Clara, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need to tell you something. I made a terrible mistake. Please let me explain, Marcus." Clara stared at the screen. He had gotten a new phone number, or borrowed someone else's. Either way, he had found a way to reach her. She typed back a single sentence. "Talk to my lawyer." Then she blocked the number. She wasn't ready to hear his explanations, his excuses, his belated realization that he had been manipulated. He should have trusted her. He didn't. That was all that mattered. I deserved a partner who would fight for the truth. He chose the easy path. That's not my failure. It's his. The baby kicked once, hard, as if in agreement. Clara smiled sadly. "Your dad is going to regret this," she whispered, "for the rest of his life. And that's not my problem anymore." She turned off her phone, went to bed. Tomorrow was another day of fighting. She needed her rest. Clara was at 34 weeks when the first contraction hit. 3 in the morning, she woke gasping, a band of pain tightening around her middle. Too early. 6 weeks too early. She lay in the darkness, counting seconds, timing the pain. Another contraction. 8 minutes later, strong enough to make her grip the sheets. Clara fumbled for her phone, called Rosemary. "Something's wrong," her voice shook. "I'm having contractions." Rosemary was at her door in 30 seconds, still in pajamas, keys already in hand. "Hospital, now." The drive was a blur of streetlights and fear. Clara gripped the door handle as another contraction rolled through her. Rosemary ran 2 red lights. Clara didn't tell her to slow down. The emergency room was bright, loud, overwhelming. Nurses took one look at Clara's face and moved fast. Wheelchair, monitors. IV line. "How far along?" someone asked. 34 weeks. Clara gasped through another contraction. "History of preterm labor?" "No. This is my first pregnancy." Hands moved efficiently, checking, measuring, monitoring. The baby's heartbeat filled the room, fast but steady, alive. Braxton Hicks. The doctor finally said, "False labor. Your body is practicing for the real thing." Clara nearly collapsed with relief. "The baby is okay?" "The baby is perfect." The doctor smiled kindly. "But your stress levels are through the roof. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. We're going to keep you overnight for observation." Clara nodded. Couldn't speak past the lump in her throat. Rosemary appeared in the doorway. "Can I stay with her?" "Family only. I'm her sister." The nurse raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. Rosemary pulled a chair next to Clara's bed, took her hand, held on tight. "You scared me," she said quietly. "I scared myself." They sat in silence. The monitors beeped steadily. The baby's heartbeat was a constant reassurance. Clara stared almost at the ceiling. If something had happened, I would have been alone. No husband, no mother, no family, except Rosemary. Just me and this baby, fighting for survival. The thought was terrifying, and somehow also freeing. I can do this, Clara said quietly. Whatever happens, I can handle it. I know. Rosemary squeezed her hand. I've always known. At midnight, Clara's phone lit up. A text from Marcus. He had gotten another new number. I heard you were in the hospital. Is the baby okay? Clara stared at the message. He heard. From who? Eleanor's spies were everywhere. The Bennett family had eyes in every corner of this city. She typed back slowly. The baby is fine. I'm fine. Not that you asked about me. His response came immediately. I'm sorry. I've been wanting to call. I didn't know how. Clara's jaw tightened. You could have asked your lawyer, or just trusted me in the first place. A long pause. Then, I know, I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. Vivian showed me evidence and I believed her. I should have talked to you first. Evidence. Like it was just paperwork. Like it was a simple misunderstanding. You threw me out at midnight, in February, while I was 7 months pregnant with your son. I know. I'm so sorry, Clara. Please let me make this right. Clara laughed bitterly. The sound echoed in the quiet hospital room. There's no making this right, Marcus. You can't undo what happened. You can't unfeel what I felt standing on that porch in the cold, watching you turn off the lights and go to sleep. Another pause. I'm still his father, Clara. The words hit like a slap. He wasn't sorry because he hurt her. He was sorry because he might lose access to his heir. Then act like it. She didn't send that text. Instead, she wrote something else. The baby is due in 6 weeks. My lawyer will contact your lawyer about visitation arrangements. Then she blocked his number. Again, Rosemary stirred in the chair beside her. Marcus? He wanted to apologize. Do you believe him? Clara thought about the question. Did Marcus regret what he had done? Probably. Was he sorry for hurting her? Maybe. But was he capable of real change, real growth, real accountability? She didn't think so. He's sorry he got caught, Clara said finally. He's sorry Vivian's lies are falling apart. But he's not sorry for who he is. And that's the real problem. Rosemary nodded. Some people never change. No. Clara closed her eyes. They just get better at hiding. The next morning, Clara woke to an unwelcome visitor. Vivian Bennett stood in the doorway of her hospital room. Perfect makeup, designer coat, lavender perfume. That made Clara's stomach turn. We need to talk. Vivian closed the door behind her. Woman to woman. Clara sat up slowly, hit the call button for the nurse. Then faced her enemy. You have 30 seconds before security removes you. Vivian smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. I came to offer a truce, for the baby's sake. A truce. Clara kept her voice flat. You destroyed my marriage with fabricated evidence. You created fake DNA results. You stalked my coworker for months, and now you want a truce. I don't know what you're talking about. Vivian sat down uninvited. Marcus made his own decision based on what he saw. What you showed him. Evidence doesn't lie, Clara. No, but you do. The door opened. A nurse looked in. Everything okay in here? This woman is not family. Clara's voice was steady. Please ask her to leave. Vivian stood smoothly, straightened her coat. Think about what I'm offering. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Walk away quietly. Take a settlement. Start over somewhere else. You don't want to fight this family, Clara. We destroy people who get in our way. Clara met her eyes, held her gaze without flinching. I'm not walking away. I'm not taking your money, and I'm not afraid of you or your family. Vivian's mask slipped, just for a second. Something ugly flickered behind her polished exterior. You'll regret this. Maybe. Clara smiled coldly, but I'll regret being a coward more. The nurse escorted Vivian out. The door closed with a soft click. Clara let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding. The baby kicked, strong and fierce. I know, she whispered. Mommy's got this. The DNA results arrived on a Wednesday. Harrison called at 9 in the morning. His voice was carefully neutral. Clara, I have the results. Her heart stopped, then raced. And? The baby is Marcus's biological child. 100% match. No room for doubt. Clara's legs gave out. She sat down hard on Rosemary's couch. It's real, her voice cracked. We have proof. We have proof. Harrison allowed himself a small note of triumph. Vivian's fabricated DNA test is now exposed as fraud. I'm filing charges this afternoon. Clara couldn't speak. Tears streamed down her face. All those weeks of fighting, of doubting, of wondering if anyone would believe her. And now the truth was finally, irrefutably documented. There's more, Harrison continued. Marcus has been informed of the results. His lawyer called me 30 minutes ago. Marcus is requesting a meeting. No. The word came automatically. Hear me out. Harrison's voice was gentle. This isn't about reconciliation. Marcus wants to discuss custody arrangements, voluntarily, before the court gets involved. Clara wiped her eyes. What kind of arrangements? I don't know yet. But if we can settle this without a trial, it would be better for everyone, especially the baby. Clara thought about it. A trial would be public, ugly. Every detail of Vivian's lies aired for the world to see. Part of her wanted that. Wanted Vivian humiliated. Wanted Marcus to face the consequences of his blindness. But another part, the part that was about to become a mother, that part wanted peace. Fine, she heard herself say. One meeting, with lawyers present, in a neutral location. I'll arrange it. Harrison paused. Clara, this is good news. You're winning. Then why doesn't it feel like winning? Harrison was quiet for a moment. Because winning and healing are different things. His voice was kind. The winning comes first. The healing takes longer. The meeting was scheduled for the following day. A conference room in Harrison's office. Neutral territory. Witnesses present. Clara dressed carefully. A blue dress that accommodated her 35-week belly. Minimal makeup. Hair pulled back simply. She wasn't dressing to impress Marcus. She was dressing to face him. Rosemary drove her, squeezed her hand in the parking lot. You don't have to do this alone. Yes, I do. Clara opened the car door. But thank you for bringing me. The conference room was cold, impersonal. Harrison sat on one side of the long table. Clara beside him. Patterson, Marcus's lawyer, sat across from them, alone. Where's Marcus? Clara asked. He'll be here shortly. Patterson didn't meet her eyes. He wanted a moment to compose himself. The door opened. Marcus walked in. Clara's breath caught. He looked terrible. Gaunt, shadows under his eyes, stubble that suggested he had stopped shaving days ago. Good. He should look terrible. After what he did, he sat down across from her, finally met her gaze. Clara, thank you for agreeing to meet. She didn't respond, waited. I received the DNA results. Marcus's voice cracked. I know the baby is mine. I know I made a terrible mistake. You threw me out, Clara kept her voice flat. At midnight, in February, while I was pregnant with your son. I know. His eyes filled with tears. Vivian showed me evidence. DNA results. Messages, photos. It all seemed so real. Because you wanted it to be real. Marcus flinched. What? You wanted an excuse to leave. Clara's voice was steady, cold. The pregnancy scared you, the responsibility, so when Vivian handed you a reason to run, you grabbed it. That's not true, isn't it? Clara leaned forward. You didn't ask me for my side of the story. You didn't verify the evidence. You didn't even pause to consider that your wife of 3 years might be innocent. I was blind. I was manipulated. You were weak. Clara's voice hardened. And I won't teach my son that weakness is acceptable. Silence filled the room. Marcus stared at her. The tears were flowing freely now. What do you want me to do? He asked. How do I fix this? Claire looked at this man, her husband, the father of her child, the man she had loved since she was 20 years old. She felt nothing. You can't fix this. She spoke quietly. Some things, once broken, stay broken. I'll do anything. Marcus reached across the table. She pulled back before he could touch her. I'm filing for divorce. Clara's voice didn't waver. Full custody. You can have supervised visitation until you prove you're capable of being a trustworthy parent. Supervised? Marcus's voice rose. He's my son. He's my son, too. Clara stood. And I will protect him from people who believe lies over truth, who choose the easy path over the right one, who throw away family in the middle of the night. She gathered her things, looked at Harrison. I think we're done here. Harrison stood. I'll be in touch with Mr. Patterson about the terms. They left Marcus sitting at the table. Broken, crying, Clara didn't look back. Outside, the sun was shining. Clara stood on the sidewalk, breathed deeply. The baby was moving. Strong, steady kicks that reminded her why she was fighting. Rosemary pulled up to the curb, jumped out. How did it go? Clara smiled. It felt strange on her face. Unfamiliar. I think I just ended my marriage. Are you okay? Clara considered the question. Was she okay? Her husband had betrayed her. Her marriage was over. She was about to become a single mother, but she was also free. Free from Marcus's weakness. Free from the Bennett family's expectations. Free from the constant effort of making herself small. I'm not okay yet. Clara touched her belly, but I'm going to be. The next week was a flurry of legal activity. Harrison filed the divorce papers, custody petition, fraud charges against Vivian. The Bennett family responded with predictable fury. Eleanor's lawyers sent threatening letters, cease and desist demands, accusations of slander and defamation. Harrison ignored them all. They're scared. He told Clara during their daily briefing, that's why they're attacking. If they had solid ground to stand on, they would be calm. Clara wasn't sure she believed him, but she trusted him. It was all she could do. The baby was due in 3 weeks. Clara had moved from Rosemary's apartment to a small rental house. 2 bedrooms, a tiny yard, nothing like the Bennett mansion. It was perfect. She spent her days preparing the nursery, painting walls, assembling furniture, folding tiny clothes into neat stacks, normal activities, peaceful activities, a counterbalance to the chaos of the legal battle. On a Thursday evening, someone knocked on her door. Clara looked through the peephole. Her heart stopped. Eleanor Bennett stood on her porch. Clara considered not answering, then decided against it. She had nothing to fear from this woman. Not anymore. She opened the door. Mrs. Bennett, this is unexpected. Eleanor looked older than Clara remembered. Tired. The perfect facade cracked around the edges. May I come in? No. Clara kept her hand on the door. Say what you came to say, then leave. Eleanor's jaw tightened. I'm not accustomed to being spoken to this way. Then you should leave now, because I have no intention of speaking to you any other way. A long pause. Eleanor's eyes flickered with something. Respect? Fear? Clara couldn't tell. I've seen the evidence against Vivian. Eleanor's voice was stiff. I've reviewed your lawyer's documentation. The credit card charges, the phone records, the fake DNA results. And? And I've handled the situation. Eleanor swallowed. Vivian is no longer welcome in the Bennett family. She's been removed from the guest house. Her access to family accounts has been terminated. Clara waited. There was more coming. I'm prepared to offer a settlement. Eleanor pulled an envelope from her purse. Generous terms. Your child will be raised as a true Bennett. Full inheritance rights, the best education, every advantage. In exchange for what? Discretion. Eleanor's voice dropped. No criminal charges against Vivian. No public scandal. The Bennett name protected. Clara looked at the envelope. Didn't touch it. You want me to let Vivian walk away after what she did? I want to protect my family. Eleanor's voice hardened. Something I should have done better from the beginning. Clara thought about all the times Eleanor had made her feel small, inadequate, unwelcome. You spent years making me feel like I wasn't enough, like marrying your son was some gift I should be grateful for. She had an opportunity here, to take the money, to secure her son's future, to walk away from the fight. But she couldn't do it. No? Eleanor's face went white. No? Vivian destroyed my marriage. She stalked me for months. She created evidence designed to separate me from my child. Clara's voice was steady, certain. She needs to face consequences. You're making a mistake. Maybe. Clara shrugged. But it's my mistake to make. Eleanor stared at her for a long moment. Something shifted in her expression. Grudging respect, perhaps, or recognition of a worthy opponent. You've changed, Eleanor said quietly. You're not the meek little girl Marcus brought home. No, Clara smiled coldly. I'm not. She closed the door, stood in her living room. Breathing hard, the baby kicked. Strong and fierce. We don't need their money, Clara whispered. We don't need their approval. We just need each other. The next morning, Harrison called with news. Vivian was arrested last night. Fraud charges, identity theft, criminal harassment. Clara sat down slowly. She's actually facing consequences. Real consequences. Harrison sounded satisfied. The Bennett lawyers tried to intervene. The judge refused. Vivian's bail hearing is this afternoon. What about Marcus? No criminal charges. Being a gullible fool isn't illegal. Harrison paused. But his reputation is destroyed. Everyone knows what happened now. The papers are running stories. His colleagues are whispering. His career will never fully recover. Clara thought about that. Marcus, facing the consequences of his choices, not prison, but something worse for a man like him. Shame. Good, she said quietly. He earned it. Clara spent the afternoon at the beach. It was cold, too cold for swimming, but the sound of the waves was soothing. The salt air cleared her head. She sat on a bench, watched the water. In 2 weeks she would be a mother. Her life would change completely. Forever. Am I ready? She didn't know. Nobody was ever truly ready for parenthood. You just did your best and hoped it was enough. But she knew one thing with certainty. She would love this child with everything she had. She would protect him, fight for him, give him the stable, loving home she had always wanted. He would never know the coldness of the Bennett family, the manipulation, the lies. He would know truth, honesty, real love. That was her gift to him, the most important gift she could give. Clara touched her belly. The baby was quiet, peaceful. Almost time, she whispered. Are you ready to meet the world? A kick, strong and sure. She smiled. Me too. Clara's water broke on a Tuesday morning. She was folding laundry when she felt it. A warm rush, a tightening in her belly. No false labor this time. The real thing. She called Rosemary, grabbed her hospital bag, walked to the car, on legs that trembled. The contractions started in the parking lot. Regular, intense, building. Rosemary drove fast, talked constantly, kept Clara focused. Breathe. You've got this. Just breathe, Clara breathed. The hospital was a blur. Wheelchair, forms, monitors, IV. 17 hours of labor. The longest night of Clara's life. Rosemary held her hand through all of it, wiped her forehead, fed her ice chips, told her terrible jokes that somehow made the pain bearable. At 5:47 in the morning, Walter Charles Bennett entered the world screaming. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Perfect. Clara held him for the first time, this tiny, wrinkled, beautiful creature. Her son, she cried, couldn't stop. Hi, she whispered. I've been waiting for you. He stopped crying, looked up at her with unfocused eyes, as if he recognized her voice, as if he knew he was safe. I love you. Clara touched his tiny fingers. I love you so much, and I will always, always protect you. The nurses cleaned them up, settled Clara in a private room. Rosemary left to get coffee and make phone calls. Clara lay in the quiet, watched her son sleep. He was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a tuft of dark hair, Marcus's nose, Clara's chin, a combination of both of them, a new person, completely his own. She had done it, against all odds. She had protected this tiny life. A knock at the door. Clara looked up. Her heart clenched. Marcus stood in the doorway. He looked different, smaller somehow, the arrogance stripped away. Nothing left but raw vulnerability. Can I come in? His voice was barely above a whisper. Clara considered saying no. She had every right to refuse, but she looked at Walter, at this baby who deserved to know his father, who shouldn't pay for his parents' failures. 5 minutes. Marcus walked slowly to the bedside, looked down at his son. The tears started immediately, rolling down his cheeks without shame. He's beautiful, Marcus whispered. He's so beautiful, Clara. He is. Can I hold him? Clara hesitated. Every protective instinct screamed no. But this man, however flawed, was Walter's father, gently. She placed the baby in Marcus's arms, watched him carefully. Marcus held his son like he was made of glass, stared at that tiny face with wonder and grief. I'm so sorry, he said quietly. I'm so sorry, Clara, for everything. I know. I was scared of being a father, of responsibility. Vivian knew that. She used it. Marcus looked up. His eyes were red, swollen. But that's not an excuse. I should have trusted you. I should have fought for us. Clara watched him. This man she had loved so much. This man who had hurt her so badly. She felt something shift inside her. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever, but understanding. You're his father, Clara said, quietly. He needs you in his life. Whatever happened between us, that doesn't change. I want to be better. Marcus's voice cracked. I want to be the father he deserves. Then prove it. Clara took Walter back, cradled him against her chest. Actions, Marcus, not words. Actions. Marcus nodded, wiped his eyes. Can I visit when you're home? We'll work out a schedule. Clara kept her voice neutral. Through the lawyers, supervised at first, until I see you can be trusted. Marcus flinched at the word supervised, but he didn't argue. Whatever you need. He stood, moved toward the door, stopped. Clara? Yes? Thank you. His voice was thick, for letting me see him, for not shutting me out completely. Clara looked at her son, at his peaceful, sleeping face. I'm not doing it for you, she said quietly. I'm doing it for him. Marcus nodded, left. Clara sat in the silence. The monitors beeped softly. Walter slept on. She touched his cheek. So soft, so innocent. Your dad loves you, she whispered. I know he does, and I'll make sure you know that. But I'll also make sure you know what real love looks like. The kind that doesn't come with conditions. The kind that doesn't disappear when things get hard. Walter stirred, made a small sound, settled back to sleep. Clara smiled through her tears. Welcome to the world, little one. It's not perfect, but I promise to make it as beautiful as I can. 6 months later. Clara stood on the porch of her small house near the coast, coffee in hand, morning sun warming her face. Inside, Walter was sleeping. The baby monitor in her pocket was silent, peaceful. 6 months. It felt like a lifetime, and also like yesterday. So much had changed. The divorce was final. Clara had gotten everything she asked for. Full custody, reasonable child support, the freedom to raise her son on her own terms. Vivian was convicted of fraud. 3 years probation, community service, a permanent criminal record. The Bennett family had washed their hands of her completely. Marcus visited twice a week, supervised at first, then, as Clara began to trust him again, unsupervised. He was trying, really trying. Therapy, self-reflection, genuine effort to be a better person. Clara wasn't sure if he would succeed. People didn't change easily. Old patterns ran deep, but she was willing to let him try, for Walter's sake. The baby woke with a cry. Clara went inside. He was sitting up in his crib, 6 months old and already so active, so alert, so curious about the world. Good morning, sweetheart. Clara lifted him, felt his warm weight against her chest. He babbled happily, grabbed at her hair. Ready for breakfast? More babbling. She took that as a yes. The kitchen was small but bright. Yellow curtains that Rosemary had sewn. Photographs on the refrigerator, Walter's footprints in a frame on the wall. A home. Their home. Clara made oatmeal while Walter played in his high chair, banging a spoon on the tray, making a glorious mess. She used to need everything perfect. Clean lines, organized spaces, control. Now she understood. Mess was part of love. Chaos was part of family. Perfection was overrated. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Can I pick him up on Saturday instead of Sunday? I want to take him to meet my father's grave. Clara smiled, typed back. That's fine. He should know his grandfather. She had made peace with Marcus. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but peace. He was Walter's father. They would always be connected through their son. She could either spend her life fighting that connection or accept it. She chose acceptance. Rosemary came over that evening. They ate pasta on the porch while Walter played on a blanket at their feet. How are you doing? Rosemary asked. Really? Clara considered the question. 6 months ago, she had been homeless, pregnant, terrified, her marriage destroyed, her future uncertain. Now she had a home, a son, a purpose, a life built on her own terms. Was she happy? She thought so. Or at least she was content, which might be better than happy, more sustainable. I'm good, Clara said finally. Really good. You've changed. Rosemary sipped her wine. You're stronger, more confident. I had to be. Clara watched Walter grab at a stuffed elephant. I didn't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Rosemary shook her head. Some people crumble. You didn't. Clara thought about that night on the porch. The cold, the despair, the moment she thought her life was over, it hadn't been an ending. It had been a beginning. The worst night of her life had led to the best version of herself. I used to think strength meant holding everything together. Clara spoke slowly, working out the words as she said them. Keeping the marriage, the image, the hope that things would improve. And now? Now I know strength is letting things fall apart when they need to. Clara smiled. It's walking away from someone you love, because staying would cost you yourself. Rosemary raised her glass. To walking away, Clara clinked her glass against it. To new beginnings. Walter looked up at the sound, grinned his gummy grin. And to this little guy, Rosemary reached down, tickled his belly. The reason for everything. Later that night, Clara sat in the nursery. Walter was asleep. The monitor showed his breathing, steady, peaceful. She rocked in the chair. Watched him dream. I gave myself permission to want more than survival, and that made all the difference. She used to think her value came from others, from Marcus's love, from the Bennett family's approval, from being a good wife, a good daughter-in-law, a good enough version of herself. Now she knew better. Her value came from within, from her strength, her resilience, her ability to protect her child and herself. She didn't need Marcus, didn't need the Bennett name or money. She just needed to be able to look at herself in the mirror and like what she saw. And she did. She finally did. Clara touched the window. The night sky was full of stars. "We're going to be okay," she whispered, to Walter, to herself, to the universe. It wasn't a hope anymore. It was a certainty. They were going to be okay. The sun set below the horizon. Clara sat on her porch, watched the colors fade. Inside, dinner was cooking. Walter was playing. The house smelled like garlic and home. Her phone buzzed. A text from Rosemary. "On my way with wine," Clara smiled, typed back. Doors unlocked. She thought about everything that had brought her here, the pain, the betrayal, the fear, the strength she had found in her darkest moments. It had all been worth it. Not because she had won, not because Vivian was punished or Marcus was humbled, because she had found herself. The woman she was always meant to be, strong, independent, capable, whole. Clara raised her glass to the fading sun, to new beginnings. She said quietly, to no one, to everyone. The future stretched ahead of her, unknown, uncertain, full of possibility. She wasn't afraid anymore. She was ready. This content was carefully researched, developed, and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful stories and valuable life lessons. Every narrative is crafted with intention, designed to inspire, empower, and remind you of the strength that lives within you. Thank you for trusting us with your time.